Something beyond comprehension is happening to a little girl on this street, in this house. A man has been sent for as a last resort to try and save her.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What a lovely day for an exorcism.
Week. In case you missed it, we'll be doing the horror movie classic, The Exorcist, with Linda Blair, Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, or is it Sydow? How do you pronounce it?
I thought you were. I was going to say Sydow.
Either one.
But I didn't bother to look it up.
You know him, don't you?
Homie,
So
don't you know me?
Now, obviously, we have both seen this movie 10,000 times.
And then 10,000 times before that.
So it definitely dulls like the fear aspect of it for me. But it's still dynamite. It is still dynamite. That's my professional opinion. Thoughts?
Well, I have to tell you this, that I had this recorded in my DVR forever now. It's been in there for 3 years.
Okay.
Because I'm pushing movies that I have in my DVR instead of paying for movies for the review. So I didn't realize it recorded off the Sundance channel. And I mean, mostly it was all in there. It was Your Mother Sucks in Hell. There is the picture of the Madonna at the church, but the whole crucifix masturbatory scene was removed.
Yeah, I went on Amazon Prime, and they had both versions. They had the regular version, and they had what was called the director's cut. And I said, I'm going full freight, so I got the director's cut. So we'll be able to compare and contrast the TV edited version versus the director's cut. So good
and
times.
By TV edited version, I don't mean it was on ABC at 8 p.m. You know what I mean?
It was ABC Sunday night at the movies.
It was the Wonderful World of Disney. The Exorcist.
Exactly.
All right, let me give you my 2-second story breakdown.
Please do.
Mom and daughter living in this fantastic mansion in Georgetown, which is outside of Washington, D.C. She's an actress. They're filming a movie there. She's a bon vivant. And then mother, boom, daughter possessed by, not a demon, claims to be possessed by the devil. Priests are involved. Priest die, girl is saved, all is right with the world for now. The end.
Until the sequels,
exactly.
Sweet Jesus. Do you remember your initial thoughts when you first saw this?
There are parts of it that made me so uncomfortable. And
of
it's
course.
Not even like it's not even necessarily the demon stuff. That's creepy. But like the priest's relationship with his poor mother who's living alone and, you know.
Demi.
Why you do this to me, Demi? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was good stuff.
I mean, it is the dude who plays the main priest.
Father Karras?
Father Karras. I don't know if he ever did anything else. But this was his role. I mean, he's so conflicted.
Yeah.
Questions about his faith. My mother lives in squalor because I'm a psychiatrist, but I'm in the priesthood, and his uncle doesn't miss a beat reminding him that, you could be a Park Avenue psychiatrist if only you weren't a priest kind of a situation. The guilt drips. But I will tell you, there's some major league quotes from this movie. This is solid.
Oh, no question.
Rock. Yeah.
I didn't see this movie until I was in high school.
Well,
so
of
we're
course
talking,
not. It is Disturbo.
It is Disturbo. Well, I had obviously heard about it. Going into it, I was under the impression it's like the scariest movie ever made. Kind of
D'accordo.
So when I saw it, it was like a sleepover, like a bunch of guys, like
this is a perfect turn off the lights. You don't want to be alone. Have a bunch of people watching in utter silence.
No question. And it's kind of a slow burn, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like they, just to jump right on in, the whole beginning, like 20 minutes, is Max von Sydow, like, doing archaeology work
out in Iraq.
Yeah.
I didn't know you can become a priest and then just off and do whatever the hell you want. I'm writing books. I'm an archaeologist. The church pays for all this, and I don't need to deal with people or confessions or raising funds. Boom.
You can do whatever you want.
Who knew?
Here's the question. Does that archaeology site, because he finds like the idol and there's the statue, and then it's smash cut Georgetown.
Yeah.
And are we supposed to think when he discovered the idol that somehow caused the possession of Linda Blair in Washington, D.C., thousands of miles away?
Or was it like a warning of things to come? I didn't get that it caused it, but it's a sign. I thought it was like a sign that you need to prepare.
Okay. Because it's really kind of a loose connection. And then old Max disappears until the last, like, 30 minutes of the movie or whatever.
You're in Iraq, and where, quite frankly, it just... He's wandering the streets of Iraq, and people are just doing day-to-day work. There's a blacksmith, there's this, there's that, but it's terrifying. Am I right? It's creepy music.
Yes.
It's strange. It's like you've been transported into this dangerous world, and they do that all by music. Because you change the music, then you're just watching one of these, what am I saying? One of these shows about people in different areas of the world. There used to be a show back in the old days called Other People, Other Places. And I was obsessed with it. And it could be just that. Oh, here in Iraq, they do this, they do that. But because the music they play now, it is sinister. It's a strange place.
Right.
It's made to make you feel uncomfortable.
And this is before the Tubular Bells. Tubular Bells doesn't pop on for about 45 minutes.
Yeah. No, the person who did the music is clearly a genius.
Genius. Now, we're going to talk about this behind the scenes, but there's a whole backstory about the music.
All right.
There's really like 3 central stories going on here. There's the whole Father Marin in Iraq thing going on.
All right.
There's Father Karras, the priest who's losing his faith, and all his stuff with his Greek mother in New York, who lives alone, and her trials and tribulations. She's of poor health. She's got some kind of leg issue. I don't know what's going on. They had to put her in the psych ward because they're so poor.
She's Greek?
Yeah, they're Greek. Father Karras is Greek.
I swear to God, I thought that old woman was speaking Italian.
Nope.
All right.
They're Greek.
See, that's why I've always had trouble with languages.
This is serious business.
I was like, I don't. This Italian is so strange because I really don't understand what she's saying.
See, I listen with the subtitles on. So it's like she's listening to Greek music. She's listening to like all sorts of Greek stuff.
That was my other thing. I'm like, I wonder what part of Italy she's in.
The Greek part.
The Greek part.
But so she gets sick and the uncle sends her to the psycho ward? Is that what happens?
Is it the county hospital?
But they're full of like deranged psychopaths.
Yes.
Like Father Karras walks in there and everyone's like, coming like Night of the Living Dead.
Yes, I have no idea.
Things are going.
Why would that even make sense? Sorry, we only have room in the psycho ward for your lacerated leg or whatever.
Right, and then she's dead. Oh, sorry to hear about your mom dying last week.
If she's so bad, why don't you, her brother, go take care of her?
Like with a pillow, or what are you talking about?
Move in there, move her in, for God's sakes.
These are all important questions. So there's that subplot. Then, of course, the main subplot is Chris, what's her name? Chris. Oh, crap. Ellen Burstyn's character's name. It's Reagan McNeil. Is that it? Chris McNeil?
Is it Ryan O'Neal?
It's Ryan O'Neal. And she, like you said, she's like a famous actress.
Right. No,
Super
people
famous.
are coming up. People are there watching. She's,
Yeah.
whatever she did. Yeah.
She doesn't normally live in the DC area. She's there because she's filming a movie. But she's like having parties all the time. I guess
she's a bon vivant.
She's a bon vivant. Her ex-husband or soon-to-be ex-husband is in Rome.
Sounds like soon to be. He obviously also an actor.
Right. He's in Rome doing something. So there's all sorts of stuff going on. It's like, but I mean, the household seems like it's a loving household. She's having a good time with little Reagan, who's like 12. How old do you think she is?
Yeah, she's like a very immature 12. She's not a sophisticated 12. She's still like a little baby.
Right.
She's a baby 12.
She could be 8.
Or 18. But in this case, she's just like, still snuggling in bed with her mommy when she gets, having a nighttime problem. Or right before she's possessed.
Right. When she's like, my bed is shaking at night, mommy.
Yeah.
That was a thing. That was the other thing about this movie that I found interesting. It was like, it seems like her problems aren't that big of a deal early on. Like the mom sent her to the doctor when it was like not much was going on. Am I wrong?
Here's the dealio. They also try to set it up so maybe you think it's not what you think it is.
Right.
It's like they kind of set it up at the very beginning. I mean, later on, clearly this is not the Enfield Poltergeist with a couple of shenanigan girls. No. But at first they kind of want you to question it. Like when she first meets Karis, does your daughter know about my mother dying? Oh, no. But then we see earlier that Reagan is indeed like listening in when her mom's on the phone, like trying to track down her crazy husband.
Right. That's kind of the trigger, if you will. Like it's Reagan's birthday is rolled around. The husband's nowhere to be found. And then it's the next day. It's like, my bed is shaking. I'm going to come down and pee on the floor in the middle of your party kind of thing.
I mean, it gives you, if you really kind of think about it, it's like all of these kind of girl possession things right about puberty.
Right.
There's a trigger.
Yep.
There's acting out. She knows things that she's not supposed to know. But is it because she overheard things? Now, once she's speaking backwards and in Latin, and they're not Catholic, I don't know what Catholic helps you speak backwards.
It's just naturally.
It would have helped you with your Latin. Then you're like, okay.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like literally she goes in and the bed is bouncing around. The mom jumps on the bed. I think that point you check out possession. They continue on with like the spinal taps and the CAT scans. When the bed is moving around by itself, it's time to get a second opinion.
But you got to remember, this is like, you weren't even born yet. This is how old this is.
Yeah.
And nobody was talking about demon possessions. We talked about the Warrens with our other movies.
Yep.
They hunted ghosts. Nobody even talked about demon possessions until this movie.
That's correct.
So now we're all sophisticated. I mean, in the Enfield one, those girls were bouncing. The bed was vibrating off the ground. Well, they were just bouncing on it. They're bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and you get up the momentum, Well, it's not a Tempur-Pedic. These are old spring, old-timey mattresses. This is not Swedish, crazy foam mattresses like we have now.
Well, again, it's like there's some things they can explain away. Like if there's a lesion on her lobe or something, they're like, that could cause change in personality. Because when she goes in there to get like the full medical makeup, you already see her being kind of surly with the doctor. That was the first time we as audience is seeing like kind of this change.
Well, I'm sure you got 3 girls. This is probably already starting to happen over at your house.
Oh, no questions. We've been looking for lesions for a couple of years. Wah, wah. It's a sad situation.
I don't think I could have survived if I had daughters. I don't think I would have ever made it.
Well, I mean, and that's when the stuff gets serious, and the doctors can't explain it. And the 88 doctors, she literally says, I don't know what you do at that stage of the game. You just lose your mind.
I love you, baby, but if I'm walking around with a huge black eye that even 1970s sunglasses can't cover up, we're putting you right into Damien Karras ward next to Grandma there. They can all visit each other.
Right. Well, they were prescribing like Thorazine to try to get her to totally calm down, because she literally they had to drug her. She's spazzing out.
Go
ahead.
I didn't see any of this crudly going on at the hospital or the doctor's offices. Only in her house.
Right. Well, and I guess, is the movie canceled, by the way? Because she isn't like, oh, damn, I got to get to the set. You know?
I think that was it. I think that was the wrap-up, wasn't it? That was the end?
Maybe that's what it was.
And the director is the one who flew out the window at the beginning.
Yes. The director, Burke.
Yeah.
He was a weird, his whole thing was bizarre. He was a crazy alcoholic who's shouting like German slurs at Chris's German manservant and has to get thrown out of the party. Do you remember this scene?
I'm like, he is a terror. What an asshole. And then when the poor German man finally cracks and starts to beat him, he just starts laughing.
Right. So he gets thrown out the window, and he bounces down those long flight of stairs.
Absolutely.
Which causes like a murder investigation. Now you got Lee J. Cobb rolling in there as like Lieutenant Finderhead or whatever. I don't remember his name.
Because this is like super crazy, long, narrow stairs where clearly if you slip, you better hold on to that rail because you are going to die. So there's obviously no other crimes going on in Georgetown.
None.
Because I'm going to have this dude just working on this. Absolutely.
Well, they said the thing that tipped them off is that his head was basically on backwards.
Now,
which it seems unlikely that would occur falling down the stairs.
Considering it's 900 flights of concrete stairs. The only thing unusual is that the head is still attached.
Well, the other interesting thing is that the house, like the stairs are not just outside the window. They're like across the street. So she had to launch his body out the window with a cannon.
Across the street. The stairs are behind them.
They're not. There's a street that separates the house from that staircase.
So you're saying that someone would have to pick up this little Irishman and fling him all the way across the road down the stairs.
I'm saying she needed a catapult.
Yeah.
Basically.
Interesting detective work.
Thank you. That's how I roll. So that's the whole. So there's that. Another subplot is the police officer interviewing, like Father Karras, interviewing Chris McNeil to try to figure out what happened.
And none of them were there when it happened. So what do they have to contribute?
Exactly. It's all a mystery to me.
Yeah.
Eventually,
he doesn't interview the little girl who is the only person in the room with him.
He was going to, but she was having, possession.
But actually, nobody knows for certain that he fell out the window.
What are you suggesting?
I mean, there are no eyewitnesses.
That is true.
So, and first of all, why would you have this crazy old drunk watch the demon child anyway? And why would he have gone upstairs?
These are questions that they actually talk about in the book. In the book, it's implied that he was molesting her.
Ew.
Yeah. And so I guess the demon helped out at that point.
So
stop molesting me.
They're like, I'm already molesting her from the inside out. So I don't want any competition. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what's creepy is earlier in the movie, Linda Blair kind of suggests that Chris and Burke have something going on.
Yes.
Which seems weird.
Yes. Like, do you like him as much as Daddy?
Right.
Ew.
So who knows? Who knows what's going on with the story?
She's like, hell no.
Right. So eventually, like, an hour and a half into the movie, she eventually convinces Father Karras to come in and take a look.
Yeah,
because
the psychiatrist, I guess, didn't come up with anything. But I'm sorry, you need to go. Let's do the exorcism somewhere else so I can get some rest.
Pretty much. Well, that's the thing. I swear to God, an hour of this movie is just
the build-up.
Right. Well, because it's not really that scary, where it's like doctors poking and prodding her and the psychiatrist kind of interviewing her, all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like a procedural. It's like St. Elsewhere or something.
It is. Well, because it's based on a true story, you know.
Very, very, very loosely based upon a true story.
Isn't it that's always how it is.
It's always how it is.
There once was a case that someone thought was an exorcism. Boom! That's how we got the movie. There was a guy and a priest once in the same room. Boom!
Well, that's basically Father Karras says, well, if you want an exorcism, the first thing we need to do is go back in time to the 1600s.
Yeah.
Because now we know about psychiatry and, you know, it's not all, every time somebody acts up, it's not demonic possession. We know that now.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good call.
It really kicks in my mind, obviously, when old Father Marin reappears at the end of the movie. That's when they put the foot on the gas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because Karras, it was like, yeah. I mean, it meets the criteria, Bishop, but really, this is a mental disorder. Because remember, Father Karras is a psychiatrist?
Right.
Or
psychiatrist.
Okay. So he's a medical doctor.
Yes. Well, he became a priest first, and then they sent him to medical school to become a psychiatrist, is what he said.
Is that a thing? Like, instead of the army, if you want to become a doctor or something, you can join the priesthood? Or you can scrub floors? You don't know?
It's hard to know what's going on.
We need to call Father Mark and check this out.
Well, Father Karras is brooding the whole time, telling everyone who will listen to him, I've lost my faith. Like, literally, Chris McNeil's walking by the church, and she can hear him loudly going like, I just don't believe in God anymore.
Yeah. And he's announcing also to anyone who will listen, most of the people he's counseling have lost their faith too.
Right. So I'm not the one to help them.
Yeah.
Is basically the reoccurring theme.
You know, it's not a hostage situation. You can leave.
That's true. I think he was looking for them to transfer him to where are you going to be transferred?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where is the place they transfer priests who've lost their faith? I don't know where that is. The private sector?
I know where they transfer the ones who do bad things, but
that's a whole nother story.
That's a different story.
There's actually a third priest in this movie that gets a lot of airtime. Father Dyer.
Yes, the upbeat, happy priest. Friends to all.
Who attends all the high society parties, loves to sing show tunes.
Exactly. He's the friendly gay priest, handsome, life of the party.
Right.
The celebrities seek him out. Absolutely.
He actually, this is kind of a cast thing. He was a real priest from Georgetown.
Shut your mouth. Interesting.
No, he taught classes at Georgetown and would always, like, as part of his his syllabus, he'd talk about The Exorcist.
That's fascinating. So, at one point, when I was a sophomore in high school, I was going to go to Georgetown and study international relations. But then I realized when you have a C average, you don't get many opportunities over at ye old Georgetown.
It's a sad situation.
I had many highfalutin goals and objectives back in high school. She's got the dream, but not the drive. That's true. Beauty school dropout.
So yeah, to me, the highlight of the show is the final scenes where it's Father Marin, Father Karras, and the possessed Linda Blair floating around, and it's a lot of the power of Christ compels you.
I say that in class once a month.
Oh, easy.
Get away from me, demon.
Get thee gone. Dynamite. Any other highlights you want to talk about before we move on?
I'm just going to throw out a couple of quotes
Please.
Here. Father, could you help an old altar boy? Oh, that's so creepy.
And then the priest looks at him, gives him a nasty look, and then walks away. What kind of priest are you? You got to say, so I've taken a vow of poverty. Say something, sorry, my son. Give him something. He's a homeless Catholic altar boy. Very upsetting.
Well, of course, we mentioned why you do this to me, Davey. Oh.
Yeah.
I love the part when the psychiatrist is meeting with her and she just grabs him by the balls. That's what he gets.
That was hilarious.
That's what he gets for standing close. I used to work with little kids. You get up to their face when they're acting crazy, you're going to get a punch. So I guarantee you, next time he talks to a demon girl, he's not standing so close.
I want to talk to the other personality and not the giblets.
At one point, the priest goes up to see Reagan, and Carl, the husband of the German caretakers, it wants no straps. So Carl refers to Reagan now as it.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That was pretty good.
They've just basically started strapping her to the bed to make sure she doesn't spaz out or punch somebody.
I don't know, eat your face or something. She's a monster.
Yeah.
I found it fascinating when they were talking to the bishop, because unlike in the Warren things, trying to get the Catholic Church to do all this stuff, apparently just a quick 5-minute conversation with the bishop is all you need. And they already have a Rolodex in their brains of people who are ready to do an exorcism at the drop of a hat. But for the old priest, he was like, well, Merrick is better for this because he's been at all the foreign missions, so he's better prepared. Are we? Well,
he did it before in Africa, is what he said. He's done his exorcism previously, so he's the pro.
But the comment was he has more experience in foreign missions. So does that mean outside of the U.S., everybody's getting jacked up by demons left and right?
It's constant demonic possession. That's what they say.
At one point, during some of her gurgling and laughing, I swear to you, it is the voice of Bert Lahr from The Wizard of Oz.
You think the Cowardly Lion?
I swear to you, I wrote it down. I'm like, is that...
Put 'em up.
Exactly. I'm like, is that Bert Lahr?
He helped out when he could, I think, on the script.
I'm telling you, because there's so much sampling. They have multiple levels. There's 6 tracks of voices running over each other whenever she talks. So who knows what they're throwing in there? But what are some other good stuff? Well, in the pea soup is a classic.
Yep. They said they were going to use Campbell's, but it didn't have the right consistency, so they went with Pea Soup Anderson's recipe. So there you go.
Shut your mouth.
Absolutely true.
I will tell you, I love Pea Soup Anderson's.
That's great.
And for those of our fans outside of California, Pea Soup Anderson, they have 2 locations in California, but they're supposed to be they're fake Dutch, right? Isn't that what
Danish.
Danish. Okay.
Yeah.
So the main one is in a town called outside of a town called Solvang. So it's in Muleton. So it's a giant windmill, and then there's a Danish town. I don't know if they're full of Danes, but they're famous for their pea soup.
Well, it's a real town. I mean, it's not.
But I mean, it looks like the Disneyland of town. I don't know. I mean, it's not like Walnut Grove where it just happens to be a bunch of Dutch people. Every place is selling weird Dutch candy and blue plates. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's not like Colonial Williamsburg or something. It's not like people are wandering around in costumes.
Except that is colonial. It's been there for a long time. I don't even know what the story of Solvang is, how long that's been. But anyway, it's famous for the Traveler Special. So for $11, you could have all the pea soup and onion rolls that you can get. So there you have it. Obviously, a California production to know about Pea Soup Anderson.
Just roll in there and say, "Give me the Father Karras." They'll know exactly what you're talking about. Give me the Father Karras.
And if you could just spray it all over me, more's the better.
More's the better. Of course.
There's that. I mean, it's a wonderful day for an exorcism. You know, there's just solid gold all through this movie.
It is dynamite.
I had only seen it on TV for like 1,000 years, only on TV. So the first time I saw it outside of TV, where she's grabbing a crucifix and shoving it up her hoo-ha, that was quite a shock. As if the whole thing wasn't disturbing enough to begin with.
Absolutely. It's rough.
It's
rough around the edges.
My mother was so disturbed when she saw it. Once I was in the back room trying to watch The Exorcist. Mom walked in and ordered me to turn it off, even though I was at the other end of the house, because she could not relax knowing it was on somewhere in the house.
Well, I mean, she was about to call Father Karras on you a few times, if I recall.
I ain't dead yet. Still possible.
Still possible. Wah, wah, wah. I love the fact that Lieutenant Kinderman, whenever he'd interview a suspect, ended it with like, "Hey, you want to go to the movies? I have no friends. I got passes to the movies later. We can see Othello."
I don't even know what that's about. That was so weird.
Right. It's weird. It's a weird situation. I don't know why. Hey, I could deport you if you don't answer my questions. But until that day, I got tickets to the matinee. What do you think? And they're like, thanks for nothing. Although I think Father Dyer at the end does agree to go with them to the movies. So that was nice of him.
God.
Good times. Anything else?
Now you can tell me your favorite parts.
I mean, frankly, it's all so good. But like I said previously, for me, when it really kicks in is the final 20 minutes or so. When it's Father Marin and Father Karras trying to drive the devil out of her. It is so good. It's like the pedal to the metal, full throttle, pea soup up the yin yang. It is great. So
now, did you watch the version with the spider baby?
Yes, okay. Back in the 70s, they filmed the scene and actually hired like a contortionist. So like literally, Reagan McNeil is played by like 3 or 4 different actresses over the course of this movie. So they hired one to do a crazy crab walk backwards down the stairs.
Oh yeah.
When they discover that Burke's been killed. It goes like, the guy comes to the house and I suppose you've heard that Burke fell down the stairs and is now dead. And then, oh my God. And then it's smash cut to her immediately coming down the stairs, crawling down there with a mouthful of blood. They filmed that scene and then they got rid of it because they could not figure out a way. It looked really hokey. However, when they re-released the movie in the early 2000s, technology had improved. So they were able to re-add that scene in there and digitally get rid of the wires to increase it. I don't know if it improves the film all that much, but it's there. It's there. That's kind of, you're watching the director's cut when you see the crazy spider walk down the stairs. It's a good times. I don't know. I mean, there really isn't, other than the ending. The ending is dynamite. The rest of the scenes are just great. I don't know what else to say. There's a lot of peeing on the floor, a lot of projectile vomiting.
Yeah, I mean, Reagan was a party killer. Everybody was having a good old time until your 12-year-old daughter comes out and announces they're all going to die.
Well, she turns to the astronaut. The astronaut's like, yeah, I'm going up next week. And she turns to him and she's like, yeah, you're going to die up there. You're going to die up there, and then pees on the floor. That's a party foul.
That's a party foul.
That's a party foul.
That's your shitty daughter who's decided that you guys are having too much fun and everybody needs to go home. And why do I have to go to bed early? Why can't I have some of the port wine cheese ball? Why do I have to hide in my room while you guys are all having a good time?
That's how they do it. That's how they do it. For God's sakes.
I will tell you, I've just spent 20 minutes Googling Bert Lahr sampled voice of The Exorcist and didn't find anything. I still stand by this. And obviously, I'm the first one to discover this. And I'm saying it's a fact.
Okay. We'll write that down.
Okay.
Good to know. Let's go to the behind the scenes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Linda Blair received death threats for 6 months, and she actually had bodyguards protecting her, paid for by Warner Brothers, because religious zealots believed the film glorified Satan.
I'm not sure how that really glorified anything.
Well, I think if you are a very religious person, all of the, crucifixes up your zotch scenes, all the demon talk was kind of bothersome to you. It was the only thing I could think of. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it didn't glorify anything, because it seems like in all these movies where you're either possessed or you trade something for, whatever with the devil, it never seems to really work out.
No, it doesn't. Let's see. The scene where Father Karras takes a mouthful of pea soup, it wasn't supposed to happen that way. He was supposed to get hit in the chest, but the tube misfired and hit him in the face, so his look of disgust is real.
Hey, right on.
He's horrified.
That was genius.
Yeah. They only did one take, as you might imagine.
You don't need more than one take.
Linda Blair's delivery of her foul mouth dialogue so disturbed Max von Sydow that he forgot his lines.
I bet.
He was horrified. Evidently, William Friedkin, the director of this movie, did a lot of things to kind of get genuine reactions that frankly pissed off the cast. One point, he's firing blanks next to Father Karras's head to get like a shocked reaction.
Fuck. Oh, sorry.
Jason Miller, who played Father Karras, basically had to be restrained. He's like, I'm an actor. I can act like I'm shocked. You don't have to do these things, you bastard. This is Warner Brothers' highest grossing film of all time when adjusted for inflation. So that's important to know. Jack Nicholson was up for the role of Father Karras, but William Friedkin thought that he was too unholy to ever play a priest.
Hell yeah! There's nothing priest-like in Nicholson. It would be Jack Torrance from The Shining as the priest.
Pretty much. Well, purists don't think Jack Nicholson should have been cast in that role either, because he's already seems strange and peculiar from Jump Street. What else? Linda Blair was nominated for Academy Award for this movie. But it caused some controversy because most of the time the voice you hear is not her voice. It is a actress named Mercedes McCambridge who did all sorts of things to give that kind of gravelly voice, and initially did not want to be credited for the movie
because it's so
she
foul.
Felt it was scarier. Well, no, she thought it was scarier for the audience to think that it did all come from Linda Blair. But when the movie got all these accolades and she got nominated, she came forward and actually sued for credit.
Ugh.
And the Academy wanted to take away the nomination from Linda Blair, but I guess there's some bylaw that says you can't take away the nomination.
Well, I'm reading now. So the character Blair added voices, a dude named Ron Faber, but Mercedes McCambridge was the main person.
You know her, don't you?
So I'm still trying to prove my Bert Lahr theory, but I don't see it.
And Bert Lahr helped out. Was he even alive when this movie came out, for God's sake?
Yes, that's the demon that possessed Linda Blair.
William Peter Blatty, who wrote the novel.
Yes.
He won $10,000 on the Groucho Marx show, You Bet Your Life.
Yes.
And when Groucho Marx asked him what he was going to do with his money, he said, I'm going to take some time off to write a book. and that became The Exorcist.
Right on.
So there you go.
Good for you.
There you go. Lieutenant Kinderman mentioned that they were going to see Othello with Groucho Marx in it. That's kind of a little sweet Jesus. They made 2 sequels. The horribly reviewed Exorcist 2, The Heretic, with Linda Blair and I think Richard Burton is in there.
Oh, poor Richard Burton. He must have been drinking hard. But I think Linda Blair was doing a few things herself at this point.
The audiences were laughing at the end, so they went back and reshot the end. And it got worse, and it was a horror show. Then, in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm not sure what year it was actually, they released Exorcist 3, which was written and directed by William Peter Blatty. Originally, it was just going to be called Legion. And in it, it was the Father Karras character becomes like a serial killer.
What? First of all, he's dead.
Well, here's the thing. There are a series of murders that are occurring around D.C., okay? And Lieutenant Kinderman, Lee J. Cobb from the first movie, who had since died, they replaced him with George C. Scott.
Okay.
He is trying to find out, the cause of the murders. And he goes to a psycho ward, and they find an unnamed patient, and that is revealed to be Father Karras.
Hey, that makes no sense, because he was well-liked. He's a priest.
But he's possessed.
Well,
he's still possessed by the demon, is basically the idea.
The other priest was giving him last rites at the end. So you figure the ambulance took him away, or the meat wagon, no one checked on him?
Well, they thought he was dead, but it was a mistake, evidently.
Caramba.
So they replaced Father Karras with Brad Dourif, our friend from Body Parts.
Oh, Lord.
Like I said, George C. Scott was now Lieutenant Kinderman, and Father Dwyer was replaced by an actor named, oh man, I can look it up, but I'm not going to. He was famous for being in Saint Elsewhere and for Salem's Lot, the TV movie.
All right.
They replaced him with that actor. His name's like Ned Flanders, but that's not right. It's something like that.
Tell me, who did he play? Oh, is it that one dude who was on Any Which Way But Loose?
No.
Oh.
No, he played, I don't even remember the character's name in Salem's Lot. He's the guy who gets impaled on the antlers by James Mason later in the movie.
Well,
there you go.
Ding a dong.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But it was going to be called Legion because there wasn't going to be any exorcisms that occur in the movie. And the studio actually made them. Right. Well, it was kind of like this police thriller kind of thing.
Okay.
The studio made them change the name to Exorcist 3 and made him add an exorcism into it just to deal with it. And at that point, and they also said, and you have to bring back the real actor who plays Father Karras, Jason Miller. They brought him back. The problem is that Jason Miller was a heavy drinker.
He looked like a heavy drinker too.
He had what's called water on the brain from so much drinking, so he could barely remember his lines.
Oh my God!
It was a horror
hydrocephalus or something,
something like that. And because of that, they had to constantly cut back and forth between Brad Dourif and Jason Miller.
Oh my Lord!
Like when he was fully demonized, then it would be Jason Miller, and when it was just kind of regular serial killer, okay. Who the hell knows?
All right.
So they talked about it. They talked about it on Joe Bob last season. If you want to check it out, but regardless, it has a lot of creepy imagery in it, and it actually was listed in that documentary I watched, 50 Best Horror Movies You've Never Seen. Exorcist 3.
I was watching because my TV's on Reels or Discovery ID all the time, where you don't even have to look at the TV; you just hear the jib jab. And they were doing a whole thing on The Exorcist, but they take a movie and trace it back to its reality. So we'll talk about that behind the scenes.
We're still doing behind the scenes, for God's sakes. Max von Sydow, who played the elderly Father Merrin, was 44. He was my age when he filmed this movie. And they had to do extensive
I'm 11 years
makeup.
Older than him. Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Well, they made him look older.
I think people
gave him white hair.
People just looked older.
Well, he doesn't know why they cast him for such a role, although he's dynamite.
He is perfect.
He is great.
Well,
he
doesn't normally F up in his parts. He's always great. So I was watching reels as, this is the time of Corona, and I can either organize things all day long or I can watch TV. So it's a compromise. I will work a little bit and then go watch whatever the hell's on Reels or ID Discovery. So they had a thing, and I can't remember the name of the show, but they had one on Jaws. Like, the book is based on this real event. So they did the same thing with Exorcist. So The Exorcist, there's the book, there's the movie, and then there's the real event. So the real event is this happened to, I think, a 14-year-old boy in like Maryland. And I think he's still alive. But like Reagan in our movie, after it happened, he had no memory. But instead of this being like a day, this thing, the real one, went on for months and months and months.
Nice.
And this person is like an old grown-up. They may even be passed away, the real person, but never spoke of it. Refused all interviews. I think he even changed his name. He just disappeared from the world.
Instead of Reagan McNeil, it became Ronald Reagan.
It became Ronald Reagan. And you could tell at the end of his life, they had to go back and erase his memory because that's
what happened.
That's why he doesn't remember Iran-Contra or anything else. Little known fact.
Beautiful.
So that was kind of interesting. So like our Enfield poltergeist and all that, I mean, they don't give a lot of details because, of course, the priest, they have the name of the priest who was there and all of this stuff, but everybody's been very closed mouth about it. So
I can't say as I blame them.
And then, of course, exorcisms are on the uptick. So I'm not saying what town I am, but I probably have said it in other episodes. But we have maybe had a priest here who, in fact, earlier in his career was involved with an exorcism and has gone to Rome for extended training in exorcisms. How about that?
They said we need to send him to the epicenter of demonic possession.
Yeah, I'm assuming this whole QAnon thing is a form of demon possession.
It absolutely is, no question.
So we need to, quite frankly, if I see people without masks, I just throw holy water on them.
You're doing them a favor.
The power of Christ compels you. Put your MF mask on, you son of a whore. And I just wear red shoes all day just to mess with people. Let them say something. You heard that, right?
No. What's the red shoes?
Oh, there's so many weird pedo conspiracies. Well, one of the crazy conspiracies is you only get coronavirus if you're a pedophile. Or the other one is a pedophile because they wear red shoes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was literally getting my hair done, and they were talking about the red shoes. I'm like, oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Let me file that away.
Exactly. Instead of the poor Native American man who in the 70s would have a single tear because America is such a shame. So now we just have poor baby Jesus. When he sees people with their QAnon bullcrap, you see a tiny baby Jesus tear coming down.
I know I do. Originally the studio wanted Marlon Brando to play Father Merrin, but William Friedkin nixed it because it would have been a Marlon Brando movie.
Yeah, no thanks.
At that point.
No.
So he said, thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
Linda Blair injured her back in that scene where she's being whipped around back and forth. And Ellen Burstyn received a permanent spinal injury when she gets knocked back against the wall and falls on her back.
Damn.
All sorts of stuff were going on there. It's a sad situation.
Yeah, I think nowadays they try not to kill their actors.
They try. They make no guarantees. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else you want to say?
I was surprised by its lower ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. It was only an 82.
Well, it's higher for the fans, 87. I think it's much better than that, obviously.
Of course it is. Just a couple of things. Before she became totally possessed, she referred to the demon as Captain Howdy. And doesn't House of a Thousand Corpses call somebody Captain Howdy?
I think so. Now, somebody made the point that Howdy was her father's nickname. Her father's nickname or name was Howard. So it was the to kind of weasel his way into her soul or something along those lines. One scene that I didn't mention that I thought was dynamite was the help me on the belly.
Oh,
that was great. That was great.
All right. When I was in Europe, I had this self-tanner. It was like Chanel. It was fabulous. So that's what we did. We painted on my friend's stomach, help me, in self-bronzer. So then she had dark brown writing on her stomach. We might have been in Cannes getting ready to go to the beach. So
this is good stuff here.
It's solid as rock.
Do you want to talk about the cast?
All I can tell you is normally I don't like Ellen Burstyn, but she was dynamite, of course, in this.
She was great.
I mean, Linda Blair, first of all, who would let their daughter play this role?
This is an excellent question.
I think this damaged her for the rest of her life.
Absolutely did. Ellen Burstyn, you know her from Requiem for a Dream, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, The Last Picture Show, and of course, this movie. Max von Sydow, most famously The Seventh Seal.
I never saw that.
He was also in Flash Gordon as Ming the Merciless.
Oh, Lord.
Minority Report. I liked him in Strange Brew myself.
I love Strange Brew.
Linda Blair. Exactly. I'm trying to think. Most famously for this movie, but she was also doing such films as Savage Streets, Hell Night, and Roller Boogie.
Roller Boogie, there's a classic. What about Cannibal Holocaust?
Roller Boogie. Not in Cannibal Holocaust, I'm sad to say. Lieutenant Kinderman was Lee J. Cobb, 12 Angry Men, On the Waterfront, Exodus. He's a famous Hollywood actor, obviously.
It sounds like it.
Father Karras was played by Jason Miller, who's actually a famous playwright.
I did not know that.
Yes, he wrote...
Anything I know? No.
He wrote the play, The Championship Season. That Championship Season, which was made into a movie. Very well respected, much more as a playwright than as an actor. He is also the father of Jason Patric, who you might remember from The Lost Boys and other things. Speed 2, Cruise Control.
He was a tasty bit of deliciousness back in the day. But now I can see it. They both have those brooding eyes.
Brooding eyes. So
looking into your soul. Or they're going to cry at any minute. Or jump off a building.
Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
They actually William Friedkin fired the original guy who composed the soundtrack and brought in the tubular bells. The dee-dee-dee. I can't even do it. What does the tubular bell sound like? That's not it. Anyway, whatever the hell it is. That was actually a song that was released just as music.
Mike Oldfield.
It was like Chuck Mangione before Chuck Mangione, that kind of instrumental music. So he heard it and was like, this is going in. And it's the way they hit it, it's just dynamite. Dynamite.
Yeah.
It's a good times. Good cast.
I was looking like for just one composer, but they have like 4 different people listed for supplying the music for this.
William Friedkin, the director, is famous for The French Connection.
I love The French Connection.
And other things. I'm not even going to talk about it.
He did some other stuff.
He did some other crapola.
But nothing beats The French Connection.
French Connection is dynamite. With Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider.
Oh, my God. You know, I love Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider. They are the
That's
French
a good
Connection.
Combination. They are.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about our ratings. We already spilled the beans that it is, 86%?
Yeah.
82% on Rotten Tomatoes, which seems very low to me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I honestly would give it, hang on, let me hear this for a second. I would give it 5 out of 5 cups of pea soup Anderson.
5 out of 5. I think, oh, sweet Jesus.
Oh my God, I'm trying to put the music on. Stupid YouTube is giving me an ad. Here we go. Oh, it's live. Mike Oldfield and Company, Tubular Bells.
Let's hear it.
Can you hear it?
No, I hear nothing.
My stupid Mac is so quiet.
You can kind of hear. Does that help you, audience? I don't know if it helps me. Sweet Jesus.
Maybe you can put a little bump at the end with the actual music.
Yes, I will give it 7 out of 8 Burks getting shot out the window and falling down the stairs. So there you have it. Good times.
Or 5 out of 5 Birkin hairs.
That's exactly what it is. So there you have it. Thank you for joining us. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. You can email us at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc., etc. And Aaron, you're on Twitter.
I am on Twitter.
What is it? Damn your eyes.
I'm on Twitter as The Cult of Aaron. And if you join the cult, we'll sit around like in a Quaker circle and we'll just listen to Tubular Bells for hours and hours and hours.
That's all you need to do.
And I'm watching this video, and these are like rock and roll looking dudes just rocking out to their Tubular Bells Part 1 here, 1973.
Are they literally Tubular Bells?
It is literally a guy on a piano, a guy on a guitar. They look like they could possibly be Doobie Brothers because they all have the long hair and bad blonde mustaches.
Perfect.
Even though they're on TV, they're wearing like tank tops and stuff. It's pure 70s.
That's a classic. So, thank you very much and be well.
Later, skaters. Don't be dicks. Wear a mask. Corona's real. QAnon will send you to hell. The end.